Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's video on religious trauma. My name is Angel Desantis, and I always forget to put this at the end, so let me put this at the beginning. Welcome if this is your first video. Please click like and subscribe. I have a religious trauma course which I will link below, and I think that's it. So welcome, thank you for being here. This week I want to talk about how I do things, because that I think is the most asked question that I am asked is, how did you do this? Or how did you do that? How did you? Why is very obvious, I think, where like nobody asked me like, why did you leave an abusive religion? Why is Christianity oppressive? Like that's fairly obvious. If you are leaving something that's oppressive and hates you as a human being, it's very obvious why you're leaving. But I think the difficulty is in how. And so I've done a video before where I've talked about my method, which I will link somewhere up here. But I've done a video where I talk about my method, but I want to articulate it even more and give you my method for the how. And it involves three things. It involves three little questions. And I think that it's important to have something to like guidepost you. The best analogy that I can come up with, doesn't mean it's the best one, but it's the one I came up with, is bowling. And if I'm bowling with the sides up, I'm gonna hit the pins, and that's great. And if I'm bowling without the sides up, it might not go well for me. So if the sides are up, you can only hit the pins pretty much, unless you're a very, very terrible bowler. But if the sides are up, it keeps the ball the ball tries to go to the side, but because the guardrails are up, it hits the pins. And for me, I think of setting that up in my brain of what are the guardrails in my brain? Because when you come out of something like religious trauma that has set your brain up in a certain way to police itself and hate itself and suppress itself, that structure doesn't disappear when you leave. Those structures are built, they're there in your brain, and the confusion is being in a different space in the world, maybe no longer associated with the religion or the group, but still having those feelings or those thought patterns in your brain and wondering why they are still there if you've left. And so I think that is where the clash tends to come in. So I want to give what I did and the guardrails that I set up in my brain and how I'm able to like make sure that I'm going in the right direction. So if you're here, I understand that you're probably going through a difficult time in your life, and I want to honor that and respect that and say thank you for being here. I know this is very difficult work, but I also really want to give you credit and have you give yourself credit for the work that you are doing and understand that these things take time, and add that you do have time. Because when you're in this religious setup, they don't set up your brain well. So you might not actually see the effect of time. Doing something that is negative over the course of time makes it doubly negative. So if I have self-talk today, that's bad for today. But if I have negative self-talk for 70 years, I'm gonna have a much more detrimental life than I would have otherwise. And so as you're here and as you're doing the work, I want to encourage you that if you need to take breaks, take breaks. Take time off, come back when you're ready. But you're just slowly trying to break this pattern and guide yourself towards something that will actually be very beneficial to you over the course of time. So you can pause, but please don't quit, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There are bowling pins at the end of the alley. And do whatever you need to do in order to pick yourself back up and start again after you've stopped. So having said that, I would like to introduce the guardrails. So this is, if you've watched my other videos, you've seen this, and I would apologize, except that I love it so much. No apologies. This is The Art of Living by Epictetus, translated by Sharon LaBelle. I have 6 of these in my house right now. And this was my first sort of introduction to proper thought or logic. Blew my mind. But the first thing, it says, first, say to yourself, what would you be? Then do what you have to do. And that kind of gave me permission to start being myself. Because I had never asked myself, who do I want to be? And then what do I have to do? And those questions are my guardrails, but I will add a third. So the way that it has worked for me to constantly keep me on this path of growth is I ask myself, who do I want to be? Why? And how can I get there? So the who do I want to be, that is important to know that that can change, because who I wanted to be when I was 5 is somebody who was willing to die for my family and God. By the time I was 9, I was told that the tribulation was coming in 1993, I believe. And so I thought I would have to be dead by then. And so I was trying to work up my courage as a 5-year-old to be willing to die by the time I was 9. That was who I wanted to be. Why I wanted to be it was because I was in an abusive cult that taught me that that was my goal in life, was to die. And everything around me was helping me get there. Everything around me was helping to condition me to really be the kind of person who would die for my family. So thankfully that changed. And by the time I was 9, I wanted to be somebody different. And by the time I was 12, I wanted to be somebody different. By the time I was 15, I wanted to be somebody who started having kids at 16 and could really serve an older man as my husband and who could guide me. Why I wanted to be that was because of the conditioning. And everything around me was trying to help me get there. Thankfully, that didn't happen. By the time I was, when I left the cults, I was 23, and I really wanted to be a mom. I really wanted to have like 5 children and be an anti-vaxxer and homeschool all of my children on a farm and keep them away from society. Why I wanted to be that? Again, the conditioning. But nothing around me was helping me get there, because at this point we left the cult. And so we were struggling. It was him and I and nobody. And we were just living in poverty, living paycheck to paycheck, trying to pay the rent. And we were in that place. We were stuck long enough that who I was started to change, which I'm very thankful for. And I kept asking myself, who do I want to be? Why? And how, like, is my surrounding helping me get there? And once I was able to start learning about autonomy and learning about logic and learning about the art of living, I started asking myself, who do I want to be? Why? And when I would ask why, that was where I would be like, wait, what? Why do I want to be this way? And most of it came back to my conditioning. And once I was able to see that, and again, I have the luxury of understanding that all of my conditioning is wrong. But when I was able to track that back of like, why do I want to be this person? Tracking it back and being like, oh, because somebody who was abusive told me that I should be this person. Then I was able to let that go. And then we went back to the first question of who do I want to be? And then it was just like creating myself of being like, wait, who do I want to be? And then asking myself why? Why do I want to be this person? And for me, one thing that really stuck out is I wanted to be financially successful. And when I asked why, it was because I wanted to be able to provide a cushion for my family, because we never had it. All of us grew up in poverty, 10 brothers and sisters, no financial security. I want to be somebody who is financially successful. The why is because I want to help my family. And then the third one is my environment helping me get there, or are my surroundings helping me to get there? And if not, then I should create that surrounding that bolsters me and is driving me towards who I want to be. And in my creation of the surroundings, I am very conscious of it because I know who I want to be and why. So as you are going through this sort of dismantling and the tearing down and the rebuilding, it is a lot of work. And I just wanted to share that with you because, again, the questions are, who do you want to be? Why? And are your surroundings helping you get there? And if not, can you create them? And it's easier to create something when you know why you are creating it and who you want to be. So that is what I wanted to offer. I can go a little bit more into depth if you like. I was trying to think about what sort of video to do this week. And the whole Josh Duggar thing happened, and I was going to do one on that. But I was like, who I want to be is somebody who shows my inner workings and shares like the things that actually benefit instead of the things that go wrong, because I think everyone can see the things that go wrong. But I want to share how I'm able to view the things that go right. And the reason that I want to be that person is because I didn't have that person. and my surroundings do help me be that person now. So that is kind of the guardrails. I'm the bowling ball. Who I want to be is the pins. And these thoughts, these questions that I ask myself are the guardrails. So who do you want to be? Why? And is your environment helping you get there? And all of those things can change. Who you want to be can change all the time. Why you want to be that can change all the time. Your surroundings change all the time. All of that is okay. But continuing to ask yourself these questions in any phase of life will give you the clarity that you need to keep moving forward. Because again, I know it can get so overwhelming, but ask yourself these questions, come back to them. Ask yourself them whenever you feel a little bit chaotic or a little bit confused. Come back, ask yourself these questions, and keep going, keep going. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's bowling pins at the end of the alley. But stay with it. It is absolutely possible to walk yourself out from whatever place that you are in now. And if you were here, then you are already doing the process. And I am proud of you, and you have a community that is proud of you. So keep going. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.